Road trip. Two-thirds of American drivers report an increase in the number of trips they plan to take this summer. And we may see a new trend on the rise, with 52% of respondents reporting that the pandemic has made them more likely to take an outdoors-focused trip. Plan ahead. Even a spur-of-the-moment trip requires a little planning. 2 in 5 road trippers find travel apps very helpful when planning their trip, and mapping out your stops ahead of time can be a great way to save both time and money. Vehicle maintenance is vital to any successful road trip. Beyond the routine maintenance like oil changes and sound tires, other simple checks will keep you on the road, such as check your wipers and wiper fluid. Make sure your spare tire and jack are in place. All lights and signals are working. Condition of your brake pads. Registration is current or not about to expire. Plot your course. Consider construction, fuel, snack stops, shopping, and the interest of the other travelers. Road trippers prioritize convenience and efficiency, primarily wanting to stop at all-in-one rest stops offering gas, food, drinks, coffee, bathrooms, and more. Specifically, the top road trip essentials: salty snacks, freshly made grab-and-go foods, and fast food options. There are two kinds of people who take road trips. If you're going together, you might want to discuss a compromise before hitting the road. The tourist takes their time getting there and doesn't mind taking back roads to see long-forgotten ghost towns. On the other hand, the pilot enjoys seeing the country from the car, sets a course, and frowns upon unscheduled stops or side trips. The drive to Utopia gave us green interstate highway signs. To decide on the color of interstate highway signs, variously colored signs were erected along a stretch of roadway in the mid-1950s. The signs led to two cities, Utopia and Metropolis. Drivers were later polled about which sign color they preferred. Green came out on top, followed by blue and black. Spilled milk gave us center lines on the road. As late as 1917, pavements on rural highways were unadorned with lines or stripes of any kind. It was just understood that drivers were to hug the right side of the road. This understanding, however, fell apart on curves where drivers tended to veer into the opposite lane. It was decided that lines were needed. The first modern center lines was painted in 1917. White was chosen by its designer, Edward Hines, who was inspired after seeing milk spilled from a delivery wagon on a newly paved road. Stop signs are diamonds with the points chopped off. Stop signs were a hot-button issue in the 1920s. Originally called boulevard stops, they were black and diamond-shaped. Boulevard stops applied to roads that crossed major urban throughways. The problem, according to people who lived on these boulevard stop streets, was that cars on roads with the right-of-way drove faster and thus more dangerously. Stop signs had become a public menace. The Illinois courts even ruled them illegal, a violation of the right of individuals to cross the street. Before there were traffic lights, police officers had to direct traffic by hand, which could be a dangerous job. The public was new to driving, after all. Various systems to automate and solve the problem were patented, including a system using movable arms similar to those used by the railroad. According to the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, it was a traffic cop who had the idea of using lights instead of hand signals or flags. Red and green traffic lights had one pretty obvious problem. Drivers had to stop and go on a dime with no warning. Before a yellow light was added to the mix, switches were devised for the green light to remain illuminated for a few seconds after the red came on so that oncoming drivers were given warning that the light was changing. The first yellow light was added in 1917 by Detroit police officer William Potts. The concrete dividers between opposing lanes of traffic in metropolitan areas are called Jersey barriers. They were first used in the 1940s on a dangerous stretch of U.S. Route 99 south of Bakersfield, California. Using the durable dividers in place of guardrails or other more transparent barriers against car and truck crossover appears to have been motivated, at least in part, by a desire to reduce the need for highway crews to make repairs in that dangerous location. The barriers have changed in shape and design over the years, a result of changing vehicle styles and grim data from real-world collisions. The word pothole preceded the automobile. It is a combination of pot, which is a Middle English word meaning pit, and, well, hole. Pothole thus means hole. They are the result of water seeping into the ground and somehow winding up beneath the roadway. When seasons change, the water expands and it freezes, stretching the road's surface. Small cracks develop which collect water, which freezes, which expands the cracks, and so on. Add cars driving endlessly over the structure and you get serious crumbling and fatigue, and a lot of irritation. Blue reflectors are fire hydrant warnings. How many times have you circled the block to find a parking spot, and just when you think you have one, it turns out to be a hydrant? Well, if you notice the reflectors on the road, you'll see they change to blue to let you know where hydrants are. This is more useful for firefighters, but it's also a fact that regular motorists can benefit from. Drivers aren't paying for the roads, not by a mile. We all tend to think of fuel taxes as our way of contributing to road upkeep. However, drivers in the U.S. barely leave the tip. The taxes on gas would have to be raised from 20 cents a gallon to 70 cents a gallon before the people out using the roads actually paid for their maintenance and upkeep. The position of the sign tells you where the exit is. Say you're driving down a 4-lane highway and you know your exit is coming up. You have your eyes peeled and you're checking your mirrors to be sure you can slip over to the left or the right once you see it. Simply look at the position of the exit number on the highway information sign. If the exit number is aligned with the right, the exit will be on the right. If the exit number is aligned with the left, then it will be on the left. You could drive around the world if America straightened its roads. America is a big country, and with our love of the open road, we haven't been shy about paving our way from one coast to the other. However, we don't often stop to think about just how many roads we have. According to Fun Facts, the U.S. has paved enough roads to circle the Earth 150 times.